let a pedophile go? Why did you let them go? You don't need a little bit of an explanation for that. You need an excellent explanation for that. And then it turns out you're from that country originally, and you are bribed legally by someone who's a citizen of that country. So we literally have a genocidal freak, a Nazi, as the US attorney in Nevada. I mean, how is that conscionable?
This one just blows my mind because she acknowledges that she wants to slaughter the children in Gaza.
A pedophile Israeli comes in and he's like, she's like, you're helping murder Palestinian children? You're free to go, you're free to go. Americans, go to jail.
She's with JCW, Jewish Community Watch, an organization that hunts down accused pedophiles who flee to Israel from the US, exploiting a process called law of return, whereby any Jewish person can move to Israel and automatically gain citizenship. The ease with which pedophiles seem able to use this law as an escape route haunts victims like Mendy Hawk,
I was 8 in
who says he was abused from age 8 by a teacher at an Orthodox Jewish school in Los Angeles. Yom Tov pled guilty in 2002 to sexually abusing and committing lewd acts against 3 other boys. He served jail time, but when he was released, he violated his probation and, according to JCW, fled to Israel with help from individuals within the Orthodox Jewish community. JCW tracked Yom Tov down and confronted him with a hidden camera in Jerusalem, where he admitted to illegally fleeing the United States with help and using a fake passport to enter Israel.
Other child predators actually have a much easier time fleeing to Israel to essentially skirt the consequences for their crimes, especially when the United States government helps them in doing so. So in lieu of prosecution and punishment, US authorities have freed an Israeli government official within Benjamin Netanyahu's administration who's suspected of luring minors online to perform sexual acts. In fact, despite any of the lies you might see online by Israeli defenders or Israel defenders, he was charged, okay? He was arrested and he was freed anyway. So let me give you the details about this sting operation that took place in Las Vegas. So it all started with a joint sting operation that was carried out by the FBI, so the feds were involved, and the Las Vegas, Nevada Police Department. The sting actually led to the arrest of 8 suspected pedophiles, including an employee of Israel's National Cyber Directorate named Tom Alexandrovich. Okay, so he is a pretty top level cybersecurity official within the Israeli government. All suspects were charged with attempting to entice minors online to commit sexual acts. But rather than jail and prosecute him, Alexandrovich, that's what I'm talking about, FBI officials allowed him to travel back to Israel where he is unlikely to face prosecution. Now, why is he unlikely to face prosecution? Well, based on the statements that we've heard from Israeli officials about it. In fact, I wrote about this with granular detail on my Substack page if you're interested in reading it. Veteran Israeli cybersecurity official caught luring minors for sex in Las Vegas. Why did the FBI let him go? And Kash Patel should answer that question. Pam Bondi, they should answer this question. So he was able to travel back to Israel as scheduled, and his short detainment after arrest in the United States wasn't even a blip in his travel plans. He made it back for his scheduled flight. And he's unlikely to face consequences because, well, according to the Jerusalem Post, an Israeli paper, a senior official at the Cyber Directorate in the Prime Minister's office was arrested on suspicion of links to pedophilia. A joint operation by Las Vegas police and the FBI over the past 2 weeks led to the arrest of 8 suspects, including Alexandrovich, 38, from Israel. After questioning, he returned to Israel and was placed on leave. That's all he got. He got leave, and then I'm sure once everyone stops paying attention, he'll be right back at work, no consequences. Who cares? He was just trying to rape American children, not a big deal. The Cyber Directorate released a statement claiming that they have not received additional details through authorized channels to date. Should such details be received, the Directorate will act accordingly. He was charged with attempting to lure minors for sexual acts. Those are the details. How many more details do you need? They say at this stage, by joint decision, the employee has gone on leave to deal with the matter until things become clear. And I should note that In his position, he actually advises other countries on cybersecurity and provides some of the cybersecurity software that the Israelis use, allegedly. All those countries are being spied on by Israel. I just want to be clear about that. I would bet every single dollar I own that's what the actual software is up to. And the issue of pedophiles being met with impunity in Israel actually continues to be a huge problem, which I want to talk about real quick, because they don't have a sex offender registry, which is okay. Maybe they don't think it works for them. But there are all these organizations who have realized, wow, looks like child predators really get away with a lot here. So the Matzoff Association, which monitors pedophilia in the country, estimates that tens of thousands of offenders operate in the country unimpeded every year. They also report that 22 cases of pedophilia were reported to the Israeli media in July 2020 alone. The vast majority of the cases go unreported. Quote, they are not deterred by the police and certainly not deterred by the contemptuous rulings that come from the hands of judges in the various courts, said Eliran Malki, who heads the organization. Malki also cited a case in which one particular pedophile was let off without punishment by the courts, even though authorities found thousands of pedophilic items on his computer. Malki purports that the court was more concerned about how a prison sentence would harm his career. Oh, well, we can't harm the career of a pedophile and a child sex predator. And CBS also had this bombshell report, Cenk, in 2020, showing how American Jews who have been, there it is, how Jewish American pedophiles hide from justice in Israel. They essentially escape to Israel because of that right to return policy that they have. And essentially, once they're in Israel, they get to avoid any prosecution for the sex crimes that they've committed here in the United States. But then they also go on to reoffend and victimize people in Israel as well.
Yeah, so this applies to all crimes, by the way. You can commit any crime, just run to Israel and call yourself Jewish and you get to get away with it. So now, theoretically, they have extradition with some countries. They actually don't have extradition with a lot of countries because they don't want to return criminals. And so those are facts. So I'm going to take it one by one. I want to talk about the pedophile situation, and then I want to talk about the extraditing Alexandrovich. On extraditing Alexandrovich, we already have a petition. We'll put the link down below in the description box. Please sign the petition, and it's a simple one. It just is saying we want the FBI to extradite him. I mean, the guy tried to rape American kids. If you can't extradite somebody over that, you're basically, in fact, if the FBI and the US government does not ask to extradite Alexandrovich, what they're doing is greenlighting the sexual tourism for Israel here in America. They're saying any Israeli can come here and rape our kids and just say, well, I'm Jewish and I want to go back to Israel. And we're gonna let them go back to Israel, and then Israel's gonna say, I'm not gonna extradite him. All they were doing was harming non-Israeli kids. That's what we do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, what's the big deal? You guys don't even count. So, all right, prove me wrong, extradite him. That is a very serious charge. He was trying to rape our kids. But you all know he's above the law, right? You all already know that. You all already know we're not getting him back. Even if you're an Israeli supporter, you know, I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say, and you'll see it in the comment section, cry harder.
It's so disgusting. Good job.
We get to do whatever we want to you, your kids, your money. We take it all. There's nothing you could do. Okay, prove me wrong.
So there's some reporting, although it's not confirmed enough for my taste. Like so take it with a grain of salt. But there's some reporting to indicate that Trump actually got involved and allowed for him to go back to Israel.
So I don't know, but it doesn't matter because Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, this is your FBI.
They're FBI.
And by the way, great job on the investigation. You found these the terrible, disgusting guys who are gonna have sex with these underage children. Great job on the investigation. 7 are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
One
exactly.
is comfortable on vacation in Israel, laughing his ass off, going, maybe I'll go back. Or maybe I'll go to a new country. Maybe I'll get lucky there and rape some kids there. And then law of return, law of return. All right, so let's go to law of return. So this is a perfect case of showing you not about Jews, about Israel, okay? So the Israelis want to conflate the two things so they can use Jewish Americans and Jews overall as human shields. Oh, if you're criticizing Israel, you're hurting the feelings of Jews. No, that's why I love Jewish Community Watch. You know why? For those pedophiles, their targets are mainly Jews in America, okay? So that guy was a rabbi. He wasn't going after Christian or Muslim kids, he was going after Jewish kids, Jewish Americans. That's why Jewish Community Watch is a wonderful organization.
Absolutely.
Going, not on our watch, right? You're not gonna come after our kids. And you know what happens when Israel takes them in? They molest Jewish kids in Israel. Why the hell would you want that? But they think, no, Israel above everything else. Israel even above Jewish kids.
It's disgusting.
I mean, this is insanity, insanity. There's a guy in Mexico, didn't do pedophilia in his case. In his case, there was disappearance of 43 kids, a long story, okay? But bottom line is, among the many criminal acts he did was he stole $50 million, okay? But some of it might have been stolen on behalf of Israel because he got Israel a contract with Mexico, did the fraud, and then said, law of return, and ran to Israel. And Israel's like, we're not giving him back. You got a couple of typos in your paperwork. That's it, we don't have an extradition treaty with you. So by the way, that means anyone can steal money from any government and then just run to Israel, and Israel goes, ha, already got your money, law of return, we're not giving him back. We're not giving the money back, we're not giving the guy back. All criminals who want to do criminality on behalf of Israel, we will shelter you. Even if you target Jews, even if you rape Jewish children, we'll hide you because Israel is more important than Jews, more important than everything else in the world. The evil, despicable government of Israel is just more important than everyone. I'm sick of their supremacy. And they genuinely believe it by like a bunch of messianic lunatics. They're a mess in every way. So look, last couple of things here. The idea of the sexual tourism, you think like, hey, that's a bit much, right? There's pig Americans and Europeans who go to Southeast Asia for sexual tourism all the time. And why do they do it? Because they know that they can get away with it, right? They could do it in Southeast Asia and nobody's gonna hold them accountable. It's disgusting, okay? People from all across the world do it, can't stand it. Now, we've given a free pass to every Israeli because all they got to do is say, I'm an Israeli, I demand a return to America. And like dogs, America will say, no matter how heinous the crime is, how vicious the crime is, doesn't matter, we have to return to Israel. No, we don't. And when you do, when you say, hey, here's a guy who's trying to rape American kids, we're gonna return him to Israel, what you're saying is, Americans, you're not in charge.
Yeah.
And this is not a democracy.
I have to say one final thing before we go to break, because this is important. Which political party in this country fearmongered about allowing transgender women to use the bathroom that they identify with? Because oh my God, I mean, they're going to be predators. They're going to victimize biological women in the bathroom. Which political party did that? I believe it was the right wing, the Republican Party. And in fact, Donald Trump really leaned in heavy to those talking points for his own electoral purposes. But now we have a case in which an actual child predator was let go by the Trump administration. He was trying to rape American children. And the FBI, under the Trump administration, let the guy go. He's free. So please spare me with a bull concern, excuse me, that totally slipped out, concern about, oh, what a danger transgender women are, okay? No, the danger is the fact that this country is occupied by the Israeli government, and our government will do anything to protect an Israeli, even when they're trying to prey on our own children. It's disgusting.
Okay, and if you love and support Israel, you should sign our petition more than anyone else. Because guys, if they don't extradite that guy, there's going to be a movement soon to ban all Israelis from coming here to America. Because if there's one country,
we got to figure out what the hell is going on.
No, in this case, literally, okay? Because if there's one country that has blanket immunity and can commit any crime here in America and just go back to their home country, obviously we can't let them in. I mean, we would never do that with Venezuela or Norway or any other country, friend or foe. But if there's a country that is immune from, not diplomatic immunity, he did not have diplomatic immunity.
He did not.
Any Israeli citizen, any crime, and we have to return them? Nah, that means we don't control our own government. And if they don't extradite Alexandrovich, we have to ban the Israelis from ever coming here because they're coming with a get out of jail free card. And I'm not
that's
gonna,
dangerous.
no, it's super dangerous. I mean, what if they start doing the threats that we talked about earlier in the show? They just come in and start murdering Americans who don't agree with Israel and then just go back home. And then America goes, oh, there's nothing we could do, law of return. Law of return, nothing we could do. You better extradite Alexandrovich, otherwise there's gonna be hell to pay. Okay, so maybe not, maybe you guys are, maybe the Israeli supporters are laughing their ass off going, there's no hell to pay. You Americans have to be our dogs. We already bought your entire government and there's nothing you could do about it. Maybe, let's find out.
Sagar and Jetty over at Breaking Points has obtained the police documents from the Henderson Police Department pertaining to the Israeli official who serves in Benjamin Netanyahu's government. He's a cybersecurity expert. He was caught up in a pedophile sting operation. Now, we have more details about what he was attempting to do, how he got caught. It's an incredible story. So here's what the declaration of arrest from the Henderson Police Department says about the arrest of Tom Alexandrovich, again, an Israeli official who was allowed to fly back to Israel immediately after he was caught trying to lure a minor for sex in an FBI and local police department sting operation. Take a look.
You could see Tom Alexandrovich, the date and the time of his arrest, which was August 6, 2025. You will see that he was charged with luring a minor using technology. Some of the details, guys, here is that it's a classic kind of undercover sting operation run by the FBI Child Task Force and the Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. That was a joint operation that they launched on August 6. What we learn effectively is that an undercover operative began to pose as a 15-year-old girl on 2 different apps. One of them is called Pure, and later on using WhatsApp. What they found is that Tom Alexandrovich engaged in a conversation with what he believed to be a 15-year-old female juvenile and, quote, spoke about sexual contact with that minor. The user then later agreed to meet the decoy at a predetermined location. The sexual contact included, quote, bringing a condom and taking the decoy to Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas.
So these details are important because it proves, I mean, now there's clear documentation that he is showing in that video, indicating that this Israeli official was in fact caught. He was in fact arrested, like the 7 other individuals who were arrested as part of the sting operation, but he was treated very differently. And we also have some clarity on the age of the decoy. Basically, he thought he was luring a 15-year-old girl to essentially have sexual relations with. Obviously, that's against the law. The Cirque du Soleil information is, all of it is just disgusting, right? Like all of it is so gross. This is how these people operate. But Cenk, before we get to more revelations of this arrest, what do you think so far?
I mean, look, we're all not surprised, right? We all know that that the 7 Americans were gonna be in a lot of trouble, and that the 1 Israeli was gonna skate. Like, are Israeli supporters pretending that they're outraged by that? Are they pretending that they didn't know that was gonna happen? We all know that the Israeli was gonna walk, right? And in fact, they probably know it so well. This is why, like, I think that if we don't do something about this, I don't know that they're doing it now, but if we don't do something about this, what we're telling them is any Israeli can come here, rape our kids, and get away with it.
That's exactly right, yeah.
I mean, that's just a literal fact, right? Because, I mean, I don't know why in the world we let him go. I mean, we all know why, right? But there is no technical reasons to let him go. Is there a bigger flight risk than a guy who was trying to rape a young American girl who works for a foreign government? Obviously, he's gonna leave, right? Who in their right mind would let him go? Who says, hey, we've caught 8 people trying to rape American kids. 7 of them are Americans, so they need to go to prison. But 1 of them is an Israeli, so he should obviously be freed.
Crazy.
I mean, that's just and this country is not Romania, or Israel. This country is America.
Right.
So if you're an American, you're in a lot of trouble, and you should be. If you're an Israeli, get out of jail free card. In fact, it's not just about pedophilia, guys. Then Israelis can come here for sexual tourism, for criminal tourism. They can come in, they can just come and take your goddamn, they could just take
do whatever they want.
They could do whatever they want to Americans.
That's the message.
And just leave.
That's the message being sent. And by the way, we're just scratching the surface here because what this guy was involved in professionally while he was in the United States is very problematic, especially given Israel's history of spying on America and Americans. So with that in mind, let's go to the next clip where the FBI and the Henderson Police Department ensured that they got this guy to identify himself. That's an important part of the sting operation. Take a look.
Prior to the meeting, photographs of the subject communicating with the decoy juvenile were obtained. The suspect advised they would be arriving in an Uber. Quote, while the undercover operative was in contact with the subject, being made aware in the area of the predetermined location, task force operators contacted this person who they knew to be arriving. Quote, every attempt was made to positively identify that user that had agreed to sexual contact. That subject was then identified as Tom Alexandrovich prior to being contacted. What they say is that Alexandrovich was placed under arrest. He was transported to the Henderson Police Department. Due to the aforementioned facts, they say they determined based on the undercover communications with the phone number and everything that Alexandrovich did indeed, arrive at this location with the intent to have sex. What then follows is an extraordinary interview with a lot of claims being made that undermine a lot of what we are now learning. So what they say is that, quote, upon Alexandrovich's arrival, he engaged in a recorded interview and he waived his Miranda rights, as they say very clearly. The interview was then conducted at 2000 hours on August 6, 2025.
Okay, so the interview is telling because he discloses quite a bit. How he behaves and what he says while he's under arrest is really fascinating. So just real quick, why don't we just go to the last video here and you'll find out how he communicated, how he might potentially entirely skirt any consequences for attempting to have sex with a 15-year-old girl in Las Vegas.
He advised, due to being from Israel, the Israeli consulate would be notified. So do you guys see immediately they're talking about notifying the Israeli government? This matters because the Israeli government initially denied Alexandrovich had ever been placed under arrest when the police department is saying here explicitly that he is, of course, being notified to the Israeli consulate. Alexandrovich stated he has a meeting with the NSA tomorrow and had met several bureau people and NSA people over the past week. So let me just underscore that. This man is here in our country on behalf of the Israeli government to meet with the NSA and with the FBI, and in the meantime gets caught up in an FBI sting operation where he is allegedly, I guess, for the legal record, trying to meet up with a 15-year-old girl for sexual contact. Stated, quote, he was embarrassed for being arrested. This is where things get very interesting, guys. Quote, questioned how much bail would cost while he was under arrest. Stated that he was in shock and someone he needed to contact immediately about his international flight back to Israel.
So the Israelis tried to act dumb about the arrest of this Israeli official, and it turns out they were fully informed about it. The Israeli consulate was informed about it. And on top of that, he also told authorities that he had already met with several FBI and NSA people over the past week. Alexandrovich was attending the Black Hat and DEFCON conferences at the Mandalay Bay Convention Center in Las Vegas. He stated that he was actually in the US quite often. 3 months ago, he was here for a crypto conference in New York City. He comes to the United States 2 to 3 times a year. He stated that he uses the name Adam to chat on dating apps, and he used the Pure app when attempting to lure the decoy who he thought was a 15-year-old girl. And so this guy is meeting with members of our intelligence community, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. And keep in mind, the Israeli agency that he works for hasn't fired him. He's on leave, and it appears that they're trying to provide cover for him.
Of course they are, of course they are. So look, if you wonder why we say things like whenever the Israelis are talking, they're lying, this is another great example of it. As soon as he's arrested, the Israelis put out this information. Oh, you got the wrong guy. It's a mix up in identity. It's actually an American with the same name. He doesn't work for the Israeli government at all. Meanwhile, you see the actual police report. They know definitively that he was with the Israeli government. In fact, he's the guy who is one of the creators of Cyberdome and has won the Israeli Defense Prize. They definitely know he worked directly under Netanyahu, okay? They're giant liars. So that's why quoting, you really we should stop doing it, ever quoting the Israeli government, because it's almost guaranteed to be a lie. Okay, now you go to the heart of the story. So all the authorities knew that he was talking to the Israeli consulate. So now we come to culpability on our side. So it's not like, oh, it was a quick thing, oh, they didn't expect it, and oh my God, they're dragnet caught an Israeli government official, and before they knew it, he was released and he was gone. No, the cops knew, all of the authorities knew, the FBI knew, the Israelis want him back. So, and he's a child predator, right?
Yeah, yep.
So they made an active decision to give him back to the Israelis.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is exactly right.
So that is unconscionable. So look, sometimes this happens for other countries as well. You might remember famously after 9/11, all the bin Ladens were immediately flown out of America back to Saudi Arabia. Why do the elite get different rules than us? An elite of not our country, but of different countries.
Foreign countries.
So bin Ladens in Saudi Arabia, whose family member did 9/11, oh, by the way, also randomly, or maybe not randomly, several hundred Israeli spies were rounded up after 9/11 in America.
Oh, no, you don't talk about that. You don't talk about. I mean, there's FBI files about it that are readily available online, but we got to pretend like that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. You're being anti-Semitic.
No, it doesn't matter. It's a stone cold fact.
It is a fact.
And my question is, why did we return the bin Ladens, and why did we return Israeli spies? If we know they're spies, why don't we keep them and put them in prison? They're spying against us. Who releases spies that they catch spying on you? So they could literally spy on us and get released. They could rape our kids and get released.
Yep.
I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad stole our nuclear secrets and walked around like a dandy. I mean, what is this?
He was publishing textbooks for our schools, our public schools. So
look, the liars in mainstream media can say anything they want, but they know our facts are true. Right. They could say, yeah, your facts are true, but your facts are anti-Semitic. Your facts are true, but you should shut up and be arrested, right?
No, thank you.
Okay, no, I'm not interested in that. And now that gets to, oh, by the way, great job by Breaking Points. Way to go, Sagar, okay? Terrific reporting, and that's why online media is infinitely better than mainstream media. The mainstream media guys wouldn't, you know why they didn't get it and Sagar got it? Because Sagar tried and they didn't.
They barely even covered this story.
How do you not cover this? How is this not 24/7 on cable news?
This is a huge scandal.
Okay, because cable news and mainstream media is not in the business of doing reporting, they're in the business of doing propaganda. So they look at this same report and they're not outraged like Breaking Points is and we are, and maybe Tucker Carlson is, etc. No, they look at it and they're outraged at us. They're like, you're supposed to cover that up. You're supposed to cover it up for the Israelis. Anti-Semite, God damn it. Now we're accusing all of America of anti-Semites. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And it's sick and it's gross and we're tired of it. All right, now last thing on the heart of this story. So Anna, you're right. We're working on cybersecurity with the Israelis?
That's such a terrible idea.
Are you mental? Of course they're gonna put in bugs to learn all of our secrets. And then when we catch them, guess what we're gonna do? Release them back to Israel. I mean, the Israelis are legendary for spying. They're legendary for betraying their allies. They're legendary for putting things in products that are either bugs or bombs.
Yes.
And we're letting them touch our cybersecurity, and then we have these nonsense conversations about, oh, is China getting someone's handle on TikTok? Did Russia do 4 million impressions on Twitter back in 2016? Meanwhile, Israel's like, we own you, bitches.
Yeah,
and everybody's like, oh, we're so sorry, Israel. And by the way, you don't have to be like, I don't know why people defend this. Why would, if you're an Israeli, why would you defend this son of a bitch? Like, I always use my own example. As a Turkish American, if you caught a pedophile here in America who's Turkish, I'd say, give that guy life.
Yeah.
Why? Why would I? Who cares about your stupid ethnicity? Are you an American or are you not an American? Okay, anyone defending this guy's a pig.
It turns out that the acting US attorney for the state of Nevada, the state in which an Israeli official was caught up in a pedophile sting operation that was carried out by the FBI and local police, is an Israeli-born individual lawyer who has ties to various Zionist organizations, including the Israeli American Council, which is funded by Miriam Adelson. I think that information is relevant because the guy in question here, the alleged pedophile who got caught attempting to lure what he believed was a 15-year-old girl in Las Vegas for sex, his name is Tom Alexandrovich, was allowed to go back to Israel. He didn't even miss his scheduled flight back to Israel. And now that he's in Israel, it's unlikely that he's ever gonna be prosecuted for it. In fact, the Israelis appear to be providing cover for him, even though he got caught up in this joint sting operation. Now, the FBI being involved in this sting operation is very relevant because you would expect the federal government to pursue prosecution. But they're not pursuing prosecution. In fact, Sigal Chattah, that's the name of the Israeli-born, Trump-appointed acting US attorney for Nevada, says the following in a statement. This is posted on X. Last week, Tom Alexandrovich was arrested in a Nevada Internet Crimes Against Children joint operation, and he was booked into the Henderson Detention Center. This important multi-agency operation targeted child sex predators who preyed upon the most vulnerable members of our communities. As a result of the operation, the Clark County District Attorney's Office is handling the prosecution. Why? So understand, this is essentially Sigal Chattah's way of saying, we wash our hands of this pedophile, this Israeli official who is an alleged pedophile. And we're gonna just allow the state to deal with it, even though we allowed this guy to fly back to Israel, which means extraditing him back to the United States to face prosecution and to face charges is already incredibly difficult. There are literally thousands of cases in which the federal government in the United States has attempted to extradite Israelis for crimes they've committed here in the US. And Israel won't play ball because Israel owns us. Let's keep it real. So why would we think for a second that the state prosecution, Nevada prosecuting him, would make it any easier to bring him to justice? It wouldn't. And I think that's the point here. So mind you, the FBI, again, was part of the sting operation, yet federal prosecutors are washing their hands of it. Why? Why would the FBI be part of a sting operation when federal authorities don't plan on prosecuting individuals who have been caught in the sting operation? And keep in mind, the crime he is accused of here, Alexandrovich, he is accused of a felony, using technology to lure a minor for sex. A felony punishable in Nevada by between 1 and 10 years in prison, in addition to fines up to $10,000. In Nevada, this is a category B felony, the second most serious type of crime after offenses that involve causing death or grievous injury.
Yeah. So guys, we've got a petition on to extradite this Alexandrovich guy. I'm gonna come back to that in a little bit, and the link is in the description box. But first, there's a hero in this story, and it is a Republican. And if we had told you about it 6 months ago, which I kind of did, no, I didn't. Certainly not specifically. You would have been surprised, and on this person, I would have been surprised. And Democrats should be ashamed for not talking about this at all. Okay, but let me first address Sigal Chattah. She was born outside the country, so what? I was born outside the country, right? And there's no harm in that. And Miriam Adelson is also an Israeli citizen. Okay, no problem. Some countries allow dual citizenship. It is what it is. Okay, but now, if I was the Attorney General somewhere, and then 8 people are caught, 7 of them are Americans, and I go, you guys, you Americans, go to prison, okay? You, Turkish guy, I'm gonna let you go. Would it be reasonable to question me?
Yes.
Well, obviously it would, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd say, well, that's an odd coincidence, right? You were a Turkish citizen, you were born in Turkey, now you're an American citizen, but you let the one Turkish guy go, even though he was trying to rape an American kid. Can you see how that arouses suspicion? And I would say, oh, I get why it arouses suspicion. And I would, if I were to do anything like that, which I never would, right? But there would have to be an extraordinary reason, and I would have to have that ready. And I wouldn't go like, oh, you're just being anti-Turkish. What? No, they're asking you a reasonable question. Like, don't hide behind you're being racist. No, you let a pedophile go. Why did you let them go? You don't need a little bit of an explanation for that. You need an excellent explanation for that. And then it turns out you're from that country originally, and you are bribed legally by someone who's a citizen of that country. Miriam Adelson and her husband have given $337 million to Donald Trump. They've given an infinite amount of money to the Israeli lobby and to endless politicians in this country. So, and then they say, and by the way, they demand that they work for Israel. And by the way, that's not hyperbole at all. Donald Trump himself has said, the Adelsons asked me to move the embassy in Israel, so I moved our embassy.
Yeah.
He's just admitting that he's giving away foreign policy to the donors of a foreign government. Okay, and then now is Miriam this time around gave him 117 million and demanded that he let America stand by as Israel annexed the West Bank. Okay, and Donald Trump said yes. Well reported in Israel as well as America.
Yep.
Right? So now you don't get to hide behind, oh, dual loyalty is a trope. When you are literally a dual citizen, you pay people to work for the other country and not our country, and you let their criminals go when they're trying to rape our kids. No, you don't get to make those claims anymore.
Yeah, no, I want to be 100% clear. Look, the whole thing about like, oh, it's a trope, you can't say it because it's a trope. If she is still a citizen of Israel, I think there needs to be laws passed that ensure that if you want to serve in the government, if you want to be a public servant to the American people, you need to be an American citizen only. Only. If you're a private citizen and you have dual citizenship, I don't really care. You're a private citizen. But if you're a public servant and you are in a position that is meant to serve the best interests of the American people, it is a conflict of interest to be a citizen of a foreign country in addition to an American citizen.
Can I just say one quick example of that? Rahm Emanuel literally served in the IDF, a foreign army. And then he was the chief of staff to Barack Obama. The chief of staff to the president is the second most powerful position in the country. They're the gatekeepers for power. No one gets to see the president without the chief of staff. The chief of staff plans the agenda and decides what the president sees and doesn't see, okay? And our chief of staff was in a foreign army.
That's
mental. Imagine if he was in the Russian army, the Chinese army, any army. But for Israel, nothing but special exception, special exception, special exemption. They could do anything they want. They're above the law, but don't say it, because if you do, we're gonna smear you and try to ruin your life.
So look, we should get to know this US attorney, okay? Because last month, more than 100 retired judges signed a letter objecting to Trump's appointment of her, calling her unqualified and citing her well-documented history of racist remarks, conspiracy theories, and threats of violence. Interesting, okay. So she just recently deactivated her X account after the story of her letting an Israeli official who might be a disgusting pedophile who rapes American children go. And so before she deactivated it, got some screenshots of the types of commentary she has in regard to the ongoing genocide in Gaza. Here's an example. No statehood ever for these animals. Netanyahu needs to start acting like a Churchill instead of a Chamberlain and wipe Gaza off the map.
So we literally have a genocidal freak, a Nazi, as the US attorney in Nevada. I mean, how is that conscionable? Imagine if she said the same exact thing about the Israelis. Same word for word. We need to wipe Tel Aviv off the map, okay? These Jewish animals need to be wiped out. Well, obviously we'd say, no, a Nazi cannot serve as the US attorney in Nevada. She says the same exact thing about Muslims, not a peep.
Not a peep, and by the way, she loves that line. She's repeated it over and over again on her X account. Here's another example, wipe Gaza off the map. Let's go to the next one. She writes, this one just blows my mind because she acknowledges that she wants to slaughter the children in Gaza. There are 2 million terrorists in Gaza. Remember, more than 50% of the population in Gaza under the age of 18. Okay, but she knows that. So she says, it's not just those carrying rifles and wearing green headbands. She's referring to Hamas. The so-called uninvolved civilians are not uninvolved at all. So slaughter all of them, all 2 million of them. She's a loathsome, disgusting human being. And obviously she doesn't care about the well-being of children, whether they're American or Gazan. She also wrote.
And by the way, in that tweet, if you notice, she said even the children are part of this.
Yeah, that's right.
So she's like, let's murder 1 million children, and she's the attorney general in a US state.
She's vile, okay? Here's another example. 33,000 Palestinians have been killed. Well, that's too bad. They would have had 0 Palestinians killed if they would have released the hostages on October 8th. We all know that's not true.
That's not remotely true.
They want to live by the sword, they can die by the sword.
No, you guys want to live by the sword. Yeah. All you do is bomb people and light them on fire. You crush them, you kill them, you starve them. Now, what if somebody had said the exact opposite? Israel wants to live by the sword, they should all die by the sword. Who cares about 33,000 innocent Israelis being butchered? Would they remain in job? Remember when Charlottesville, when they said the Jews will not replace us? That was horrific. Everybody condemned it, I condemned it, everybody condemned it to no end, and of course you should. What kind of Nazis say that, right? Now they're saying it about the Muslims, but they're actually in the government.
Yeah.
They're in, and then a pedophile Israeli comes in, and he's like, she's like, you're helping murder Palestinian children? You're free to go. You're free to go. Americans, go to jail. You're not Israeli. You go to jail, Israeli. Go off you go. Go slaughter more Palestinians. Kill their babies.
Again, this is a guy who got caught attempting to have sex with a minor in a sting operation, attempting to rape an American girl. Doesn't care. This woman doesn't care about the well-being of American children when she's willing to let this guy go. Now she's trying to blame everyone else. She's lashing out about it. So I'll go to the post that she had recently where she says a liberal district attorney and state court judge in Nevada failed to require an alleged child molester to surrender his passport. You are the US attorney, the acting US attorney. You are more powerful, okay, than
why didn't you demand it?
Yeah, this is on you. And she doesn't want to take responsibility. And by the way, making this like a partisan issue is hilarious to me.
Hey, Sigal Chattah, did you go into court or send anybody into court to say he must surrender his passport? He's a flight risk, he works for a foreign government, and we caught him doing something terrible. Did you do that? Oh no, you didn't. You freaking helped him fly out the country, didn't you? Didn't you? Now you're trying to blame other people.
So local station KLAS reported that Alexandrovich did not appear before a judge and posted bond before his state entitled probable cause hearing and before prosecutors filed a criminal complaint against him, meaning no judge could put any added restrictions on his release, records indicated.
So it is 100% the prosecutor's fault.
That's exactly right.
And not the judge's fault at all.
Yep.
Does she work for this country? It's a super legitimate question. Does she work for this country or a different country?
Well,
I mean, we used to have laws against treason. Look, I'm not even talking about the penalties. I'm not even close to that.
I just want her out.
Can we not have a Nazi as an attorney general in this country, in any state? Can we not have someone who says, yeah, if you're gonna rape children, if you're an Israeli, get out of jail free card, get out of jail. I mean, right, as long as she stays attorney general in Nevada, every pedophile in Israel is gonna be like, oh my God, I gotta go get a ticket, right?
Yeah, free
I could rape anyone I like, and then the Israeli attorney general is gonna let me go. But my idiot American accomplices, they'll probably get life in prison. Look guys, there's a petition in the description box. There's no ands, ifs, or buts to this story. Either we get the son of a bitch back and put him in prison, or give him a fair trial, right? Either that happens and extradition happens, and that's what we're asking for. The link is in the description box. Either he goes into prison and is extradited from Israel, or if he's not extradited from Israel, that means we shouldn't allow any Israelis to come here. I'm dead serious, because that means they have a get out of jail free card. They could commit any crime in America, just run away to Israel, and we never get them back.
Finally, I want to give credit to a Republican lawmaker who is willing to say things that I haven't really seen Democrats willing to say. I mean, I don't know what world I'm living in, but Marjorie Taylor Greene is absolutely killing it by telling the truth on this issue. She posted on X 2 recent decisions made by the State Department, both involve children. We need to be the America that allows war-torn children to come here for life-saving surgeries, and the America that never releases a foreign child sex predator that our great law enforcement officials caught. But in this circumstance, those war-torn children from Gaza and this foreign child sex predator is from Israel and works directly for Netanyahu. Let me guess, would it be anti-Semitic to drag Netanyahu's cyber executive director back and prosecute this POS to the full extent of the law, and at the same time let Palestinian kids who had their limbs and bodies blown apart receive surgeries in America? There was more to that post, but that was the gist of it. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, I don't care what anyone has to say about me for supporting you in your efforts here. I commend you. She's a person, she's a real person. Say what you will about Marjorie Taylor Greene, at least she's a real human being and not a freaking robot, not a puppet, someone who knows the difference between right and wrong when it comes to this incredibly important issue. And I'm glad that she's saying the quiet parts out loud. Our Democratic lawmakers aren't doing it. What do you stand for if you're a Democratic lawmaker? I need to know.
So when I had Marjorie Taylor Greene on this show, some folks said, oh, she'll never actually do the right thing. Well, here she is doing the right thing, okay? And she's blocked bills that were going to say that you can't criticize Israel in America, etc. So here's my question. Look, I didn't have Marjorie Taylor Greene being a hero on this issue on my bingo card. I knew that some on the right would turn on Israel. I said it even before the administration began. But Marjorie Taylor Greene. But look, that is why populism is always better than the establishment. Because the establishment is full of fake robot actors. They're all lying to you, and they're trying to get you to bow your head to all the donors, not just Israel, but to all the donor class, mainly corporations, okay? So when you have human beings with all their giant flaws, like Marjorie Taylor Greene has, right? And mistakes that they make, etc. I'll take a human over a robot any day.
Same.
And we'll fight her on the things we disagree on, but look at her being a human on things that we agree on. Okay, now, my main question is, where the hell are the Democrats? Now, I get it, all their leadership is corrupt, right? So #1 donor to Chuck Schumer's AIPAC, #1 donor to Hakeem Jeffries' AIPAC. Kathleen Clark, the #2 Democrat in the House today, apologized for calling it a genocide in Israel. She begged for forgiveness from her donors. Oh, I'm so sorry, Israel. I meant you could murder any Palestinians you want as long as the check clears. So I'm not talking about their leadership. Their leadership is disgusting, okay? They're just as corrupt as Republican leadership. Trump, Mike Johnson, all of them, #1 donor Israeli lobby throughout their careers, all corrupt. But I don't get it. I'm not trying to call anybody out, but AOC, Rashida Tlaib, if you guys did a joint press conference, I don't know, maybe they don't know this.
AOC's terrible on this topic.
Okay, but hold on.
Keeping it 100.
Hold on though, but for God's sake, do you not know this? If AOC and Marjorie Taylor Greene did a press conference together about this issue, or these two issues, it would get a world of attention. Everyone would have to look at that press conference. What's stopping you from reaching out to Marjorie Taylor Greene as she's reaching out to our side?
Yeah.
What the hell is stopping you? What is wrong with you? Why is she the one who's the champion of this? And the second person that's second best on this, honestly, is Tom Massey.
Yes.
Where are you guys? I'm not trying to criticize Rashida Tlaib. I'm sure her heart is broken. She's a Palestinian American and did some good things in the beginning, but why don't you grab this opportunity? Do something for God's sake, and defy your stupid, deeply corrupt leadership. Who cares about your stupid leadership? Your leadership are the bad guys.
I mean, the leadership is walking you off a cliff. So,
but hey, you know what? You might want to get their permission first. And it might hurt your brand if you work with Marjorie Taylor Greene. It might hurt your brand. Okay, get up and fight back. There's a child rapist that Israel says they're not going to return. They even denied that he was that official in the beginning because they're giant liars. Are you ever going to protect us? Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.